wish you'd listen. I wish you'd listen. Walk through Bronzeville. You what makes y'all say? Walk through
Is that folk back then would travel great distances to secure a future of positive instances. And though the journey was filled with danger, keeping faith in what's unseen to my people is no stranger. Did I mention all the miles that they covered in search of their hopes and dreams to discover? Seeking a life free of grueling labor and an opportunity to taste the city flavor. The way that it moved people out from the sharecropper life of the South. The fact that without Jim Crow,
Welcome everyone to our latest episode of the Bronzeville Trail Show, Recapturing and Making History. I am so excited that you chose to join us today because not only do I have one guest, I have two amazing guests. And the cool thing about our trail project for me is not only do we get to forecast or show or highlight the history of an amazing neighborhood, we get to participate in this recapturing and repurposing the trail from the elevated tracks that it is now into a walking, running, biking, history making, history showcasing trail for the community of Bronzeville. So today I have one of our partners who is our contract grant writer, Mrs. Christy Smith Hall.
Hello, thank you.
And I also have Michael Rogers, who is one of the architects that we hope to be doing some amazing work with. So I'm going to start with Christy because she has done so much in terms of getting us some of the funds we need to get started for our trail project. And so the first question I'm going to ask you, Christy, is to just tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you've been doing with the Bronzeville Trail.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. My name's Christy Smith Hall, as she said, and I've been with the trail since the beginning, on and off, volunteering, but just recently John recruited me into helping to write grants, both foundation and government grants, and there's a lot out there for the Bronzeville Trail Task Force, and we qualify for a lot of different areas, and so there's a lot to be done. And at this point, I'm really just trying to figure which grants are we more likely to get because there's so many options.
Oh, wow. Okay, so one of the things that I know that is in your wheelhouse or that you've been working on is the Major Taylor Initiative. And we actually have a visual to show you about an upcoming event that we have. So could you tell us a little bit about this screening event that's upcoming on May 19th?
Yes, we are very excited about this. The Bronzeville Trail Task Force has worked diligently to promote Major Taylor, and we are very excited that PBS is allowing us to show this film, this documentary about his life. As you may know, his last few years were spent in Chicago. He was initially from Indiana, but his last couple years were here in Chicago. And this documentary is going to be at IIT in May, and we're hoping that people will join us for it. You'll learn a lot about him and the trials and tribulations that he went through as a racer, as a sprinter during a really difficult time in American history for Blacks. And so we're very excited about it, and we support it wholeheartedly, and we want the community to come out as well.
I was so upset to learn about Major Taylor because it was nothing that I had ever heard of before in our history books. We start with modern athletes not knowing that there were people who paved the way. So in addition to that, we are seeking to honor his history through a Congressional Gold Medal Act that was introduced by Jonathan Jackson for us, Representative Jonathan Jackson. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. We were so thrilled to have Jonathan Jackson bring this to Congress for us and to sponsor it. And up to this point, Jonathan has secured 60 congressional sponsors, and we are so close. We think that we are very close to promoting Major Taylor and having him to be awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. As you mentioned, we've not really heard a lot about Major Taylor, and so for us, and a promotion of our trail where we are actively asking for people to bike, run, and do all these things on the trail. We think that promoting Major Taylor and having him awarded this Congressional Gold Medal will just be a lot for us.
It will be. I'm so excited about that. So I'm not sure when people are going to be able to see this, but there's another event that we have upcoming this Saturday. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. We are so excited. So one of our grantors, Rails to Trails, is hosting their annual trail day. So it's always the final Saturday in April. And we've been so excited to partner with them because they are huge supporters of trails. And so we are inviting everyone out to come and bike with us on the Major Taylor Trail on Saturday starting at 11 o'clock. So there'll be lots of people in the community, and we're hoping that when we do eventually have the Bronzeville Trail up and running, that this will be something we can do every single
bike
year.
On our own trail.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
So, are you going to be there at the event this Saturday? And how can people get more information say they don't get to participate this Saturday and they just want to get some general information about the trails? What can they do?
Yeah, if you're interested in coming out on the 27th, if you're seeing this in time to come, you can certainly go to our website at bronzevillatrailtaskforce.org. There you have all the information about it. You can register, find the link for registration. And also you will have the information to have the details for the premiere of the Major Taylor Champion of the race when it comes out in May. And so we're hoping that you will register and come out with us.
Thank you. So any final thoughts for people about Major Taylor, about Bronzeville Trail, about why you're so excited to do this work?
You know, I think that this trail is extremely important for neighborhoods in Chicago. For generations, the city has prioritized certain neighborhoods in Chicago, and so to have this initiative be on the south side of Chicago in a neighborhood that has such rich Black history but has recently not had the financial support and backing, what we're doing with the Bronzeville Trail is really going to be a force and it's a historic time to really change this neighborhood, and we are very excited about it.
Thank you so much, Miss Christy. Okay, so you ready? So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't know too many Black men who are in architecture. How did you become an architect? Why is that something that interests you? And tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, I'm Mike Rogers, and I am an architect. I've been in the industry for 40 years now. I am the actual native of the Bronzeville area.
That's beautiful.
And I am currently serving as the president of the NOMA Foundation, which is the Minority Architects philanthropic partner, if you will. And I am a teacher and instructor at Triton College, teaching in the architecture and construction curriculum there. So it's been in my blood for pretty much all of my life, this design thing.
That's cool.
And I'm excited to be giving some advisory capacity for this particular initiative. ACE, by the way, is architecture, construction, and engineering. If we think about the fact that all of the activities of mankind need a place, right? They need a place or a space to accommodate that. Well, those are opportunities for people to first design and create that, which is this intellectual part and creative part, and that's the architecture and engineering part of ACE. And then it has to be manifested and built through the craftsmanship of contractors or construction. So when you combine them all together, you got AEC, architecture, construction, and engineering. And it comes together. In this case, we're looking to help this program where young people can engage. You can find inside of us something that burns in the spirit, but you've got to identify that. So there are people who like to do things with their mind, and that maybe lends itself to the design portion of it, the creative portion of it. And then there's others that are like, no, I've got to be hands-on, right? And so these ACE programs they give exposure to the entire industry or this realm of design and construction. But then you get deeper into it by actually providing mentorship, scholarship opportunities. So we seek those opportunities. And this Bronzeville task force, ACE proposed initiative, would be a wonderful thing, I believe, for the community to get young people to become natural stakeholders, right? And so there's a rich history of where this trail was, the community, and everything that it meant to the community. And now we're looking at another generation and generations to come that can be a part of this. And an ACE program is a great way to get people directly involved with this that's happening in their neighborhood, pry out these career paths for their own selves. And I tell you what, when people build things and when people design things, they respect it eternally, right? It's like they respect it, and it gets protected, right? And so when you are able to do that in this neighborhood as a young person coming up, well, I was a part of that design, or I was a part of that building.
Yeah.
And I made money, and I learned a vocation. And so it all works out beautifully.
You know what you made me think of for both of you, kind of? I have lived in Hyde Park forever, right? And I've walked past where the trail, the mural is on Drexel, so many times and not even noticed this big structure in front of me. And so the idea that we get to not only participate in the remaking of it, kind of, celebrating what happened on it, but also using the design principles that you talked about to tell our history through it. What are some ways you see, architecture-wise, that we might be able to infuse history into what we do with the trail?
Well, one way to define architecture is a cultural expression, right? And so there's this artistic thing. Architecture tends to be a blend of art and engineering, right? So practical with aesthetics, right? And so you blend that together to make something beautiful that also works. And so that's a pretty exciting part of that. And I do want to say that you brought up the point that you do respect these things and that you didn't really notice all the time. So there's this awareness that comes out of participating with this as well, which is very important. We take things for granted, but everything, that was one of my opening statements, everything had to be designed and constructed. It all started in the minds of some people and got manifested through their hands. And having young people to understand that, even if they don't stay within this industry, they'll remember how important it is to take advantage and leverage those opportunities of what you can do with your mind when it is ignited with your spirit, and then do some things through your hands that become perpetual and everlasting.
Nice. So with some of the schools, I understand that when we develop our ACE program, our architecture, construction, and engineering program, as a part of the Bronzeville Trail project, because we have all these arms of the project, and we have partnership with IIT. And what I have seen through the partnership to date with IIT is there are classes devoted to coming up with concepts that could be infused into the trail. So we went and the students had designed like what it could be like to have like meditation spaces on the trail, what it could be like to have like, you know, all kinds of different spaces that they imagine through their courses. And so taking it down a level to the high schools that are in Bronzeville, I know that's one of the things that we really want to do as part of our like community service or history arm to what we're doing. What do you see that becoming? What schools do you think we could partner with?
So within the general Bronzeville area, You've got Dunbar and Phillips and King and, of course, DuSable.
Yes.
And I'm sure that I'm leaving some out there. And those are at the high school level. And, of course, we've got IIT as a major college
Yes.
that has always focused on technology.
Yes.
And, by the way, produces a large number of engineers and architects and construction managers, if you will. And so being able to have that natural progression from, even if it's before high school, through high school, exposing the fact that these trades are an alternative perhaps to a college life, all right, because you can get your apprenticeships and learn these craftsmanships without necessarily going for college. But those who want to pursue the architecture, doing it through the formal college curriculum. And so that's a benefit to any of the schools that participate in that. And it's a benefit, by the way, to people like myself who want to continue to teach and give back and pass along, that legacy that we've had both in the physical as well as the cultural and creative legacy. So people like us would not feel complete without giving that back. I mean, if I got up every morning without the opportunity to be creative and to help someone else to advance in this life, a lot of us would not feel complete. So, God bless everybody who's a part of this initiative, in every way.
I think so. John, when I talked to him a couple years ago, I'm not even sure when the trail project began. 2020, because he said there was something that happened. It was during the pandemic, and something just came to him, which I think is super cool. But I think the coolest part of the work that we're doing with the trail is that we are getting to partner with people who have expertise like grant writing and expertise like architecture and expertise like education and all the pieces, expertise like the people who create our handouts. Like all of these people are doing voluntarily coming together to help this project. And it feels like it's gonna be something that's quite different than other trails that I've seen. I don't know if you've been up to the 606 or to the Inglewood Trail, but I just envision ours having so much more of the history infused into it.
Well, the connotation of Bronzeville itself, there's a cultural thing in that. When we talk about the Great Migration, and so there's this innate pride. Both by my grandparents, my parents, and then I was a third generation in that particular area, and it always means something. And sometimes, even if it does gets forgotten, like Major Taylor, but guess what? It's never over. Right, so we have the opportunity to bring that back and to actually put these historical markers, or at least that education, into this project where people who didn't know what they didn't know, but they're going to learn a lot more as you run or ride your bike or participate in this parkway, and just learn about the richness of it, and it'll never leave you once that happens.
So if there's parents or students who are high school or even middle school students who are watching, and the two of you, I want you to both think of what's something that, based on your work with the trail, you envision being able to get community input on to help with this project. I don't know, because we got...
Well, I'll let her go first, because she's been around, I think, a little longer on this.
I think that it will be great to see what the community wants to do in regards to the historical parts of
Yes.
it, and because I know that what we want to do is really put some artwork in there and things that have to do with the Bronzeville history. And so I would be interested to know what the community feels is important to promote based on.
That's a great idea.
And the community are the stakeholders, right? So basically, whatever it is you do, we've got to make sure that the communities are part of it, so that, first of all, it sustains itself. But then it grows. There's so much creativity that's out there that none of us know yet, and it's going to come out, right? Once you have, if you're a painter, and not to say I'm a painter, but once you have this blank canvas, one of the hardest things that architects, painters, and creative people have is stopping. Once we get, you could paint forever. You would never stop. If you're designing a building, you would just continue to perfect that until, but you got to stop because you have to move on. And I think that's what we're going to find, that once this thing snowballs and people find out the power and the beauty of this whole initiative with the Bronzeville Trail, that it just keeps coming and it builds up a lot larger than maybe any of the visionaries can even see.
Yeah.
And I was even thinking while you both were speaking, all of the other unanticipated benefits of having it, like us just getting more physically fit and having a space that's safe to be able to do that, us being able to celebrate the history of Bronzeville, things that we didn't know as a part of the project, us being able to garner monies that could be economic impulses for the community itself. Like, it just feels like there's so many other added benefits to our project. So I don't know if you have any final thoughts about what are some upcoming grant opportunities that we have.
Oh, Allstate is really invested in Bronzeville, and so we are excited to submit our proposal to them. They are offering $25,000 on the high end for that, and so we're very excited to get that in.
Oh my goodness! And so one of the big grants that John spoke with us about said that when they did the examination of the structure, they found that it was sound enough for the work that we want to have done to it, and it would actually cost more to have it taken down than to be refurbished as the trail that we're trying to make it into. So I just hope that I'm around and able to still run when it's time for us to get going. How many years would you imagine we have before?
I honestly don't know what the timeline is. Mike, have you heard anything about what it could be?
No, but I can tell you in the industry, no one's ever able to accurately say when something is built. So nobody should be deterred by not having that direct forecast. Sometimes it can go faster. It's a matter of how many people get on board. Mm-hmm. And so you talked about there's, I think, a lot of ways to contribute, because sometimes it is the donation of your time and your skill sets, in addition to, you got to have some money too. Mm-hmm. But everybody has the potential to participate in different ways. And this is really something there's an element of inclusion and diversity and equity that's being brought.
Talk
and all
to
of
us
that
about that,
well, there are people, I noticed that you said us, and because when we think about us writing and whatever, but I would imagine that this would be a major tourist attraction, actually from an international perspective. Oh. But, when people hear about this thing, once it has really come into fruition, there'll be people that want to see this cultural rich thing and want to participate. And so I just think it's going to be a real boom for the city, but particularly that community, but there'll be people coming from all over, to participate in that. That's cool. And, there'll be...
I didn't even think about the impact on economics in the whole city of Chicago, not just Bronzeville.
Yeah, and not to, overpromise anything, but you do have to have that vision that when these kinds of things come, anything that is beautiful and culturally rich, the next wave behind that becomes economic viability. Yes. Right? So people like to be in places where it is a pleasant living, working, worship, rest,
beauty field,
restaurants.
Yes.
All those kinds of things. Absolutely. That are part of life. They come, and this kind of shows all of that, to see the flowers. And to leverage this existing infrastructure that's being revived. Right, so all of it doesn't need to start from scratch. Some of it is being revived, and so that's the green aspect of it. So
absolutely,
it's a beautiful project.
Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Christy Smith Hall, and thank you so much, Mr. Michael
And
Rogers,
thank you.
for lending your brains to this amazing project. Your brains, your hands, your thoughts, your hearts, because I know we couldn't do it without you. We certainly can't do it without you. I'm so glad that I got a chance to speak with the two of you.
Glad
Thank
to be
you.
here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.